What's up, guys? My name is Emerson, your favorite manic and melanated photographer.
Hey, this is Alex, or you can call me Peach, your local content creator and fruit enthusiast.
And welcome to the Phot-Bros Podcast. This is your go-to show for advice and experiences for content creators from two local photographers from the DC, Maryland, and Virginia area. We also have our producer Shane and our writer Juliet. Now let's dive right in. What's up, guys, and welcome to episode 2. So I'm going to give you a little brief recap of who we are. My name is Emerson. I am a portrait photographer based out of DC. I've been doing photography since 2018. I focus on fashion portraits, and recently I've been diving into videography.
This is Peach, or Alex. I've been doing photography and videography since 2018, and I just keep going on till this day. And this podcast, you might be wondering what it was intended to do, and it was to educate the public, to kind of just learn the basics of photography, learn from our experiences and our mistakes and so on, not just diving into the photography and videography, but also into the modeling world too, and to the creative community in general.
Exactly.
Yeah, we want to make sure everyone out there knows what they're doing, and as always, we're here for tips, advice, and so on. You guys might be wondering, what exactly are the origins of the Phot-Bros? So it all started with, Emerson and I are actually part of a photography group in the area, specifically in Virginia, but we know we always travel to DC or to Maryland sometimes.
Shout outs.
Yeah, shout outs to those states. And, oh wait, DC is not a state.
Soon, hopefully, very soon.
Yeah, but to those areas, yeah, we really do a lot around there. Depends on the area and if what's the theme of the meetup is. Like what my group does, or what our group does, is look for a specific area for a photo shoot. And everyone in the group collaborates, and we come over there to that area, and we just do our thing, record videos, get the creative juices flowing, shoot photos, and then eventually edit it and, make a really good photo in the end. Yep. Something that kind of really the person enjoys, or I guess everyone in general enjoys. It's just something to just get, like I said before, get the creative juices flowing.
Yeah, and we're not just a group of creators. We're also friends in a way.
Yeah.
It's most of the time, it's usually just a group of friends hanging out, having fun. We're not just shooting pictures. We're socializing. We're just all getting along. It's all about the vibes when we get together.
The vibes.
It's all about the vibes.
Yeah. Sometimes we just we do the shoot and then also go out to eat or something or hang out somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's just something for us to talk about. It's just like everyone needs a friend, and then we always we're there just to talk about random stuff and then, our adventures, and then, hey, we should have done this and that. It's just a good time.
It really is a good time.
Yeah. Now, we weren't originally called the Phot-Bros, not just the podcast, but the group. So
yeah,
how it started was we're actually called the Phot-Hose. And basically, it just took photos and the word hose and combined it together. And this is shout out to Erica, because she's the one who came up with it.
Shout outs to the lead hose.
Yes. And we have a council of people, 3 specific people who helped decide the location and the theme of it and so on. We do our research. And that's just the writer Juliet, me, and Erica. And Juliet and Erica are both models in and out, but Juliet's mostly a photographer. I'm mostly the photographer. Erica dabbles with it, but she mostly models. We're all the whole council. And the reason that name came to be, it was a joke. It was a joke. That's how it started. And it wasn't even I didn't even know about it until the next day. I just woke up and I'm like, so we're called this now? And the reason for it is I think it's because we ended up talking about photos, right? And photographers and photos. And eventually, I guess she said as a joke, because we said we are hoes for photos. Mm-hmm. And eventually they just combined and said we're now the Phot-Hose. And it was kind of a good play on words, and so we're all known as, hoes. We call ourselves hoes and all that.
Yeah, we're all hoes.
Yeah, so that's how. And then eventually, Emerson can break this down of how the podcast came to be.
Yeah, well, it's a pretty funny situation with how the podcast started. It was actually just a joke at one point when everybody met me in the Phot-Hose group. everybody instantly heard how distinct my voice is, and everybody was saying, I can see you on a podcast. Specifically, our friend Chelsea, shout outs to Chelsea, who said, I can definitely see you doing a podcast. So I went to Juliet and I basically said, hey, have you ever thought about doing a hose podcast? She was all like, actually, I have been. Do you want to host it? And I was just like, ew. Oh, wait, what?
I knew that would be your reaction.
Yeah, I was a little scared. I've never done this. And I was just like, what did I just get myself into? So then Shane hit me up and said, hey, I have the equipment. And I was just like, oh, this isn't really happening. Oh no. And so we started thinking about, okay, Emerson, do you want to do it just by yourself or do you want to have a co-host? And I was like, please give me a co-host because and shout outs to you, Peach, for being an amazing co-host because I could not do this solo.
It's an honor for me to be here. No,
it would be so, I don't know. I just wouldn't be having fun. I wouldn't be laughing. I wouldn't be so relaxed right now if it was just me and Shane. No offense to our producer, Shane, but it just would be pretty weird. Just me and him just looking at each other and just like while I'm talking about just some topic.
I'm glad I was dragged into this. Like, it's weird. Yeah. See, like, I don't know why this keeps happening the next morning, but I woke up and then I'm like part of a group chat now. Yeah. And then like someone, I think it was Shane, who asked me, hey, Alex, do you have a radio personality? And I'm like, I guess. Because I don't know. I mean, sometimes when I'm reading a book, I narrate the book out loud, right, to myself. And then just
if I'm alone, I do the same thing. I was just read it out loud.
Yeah. I mean, I even sing in the shower, but like,
oh Lord.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the best. It's not the best voice. But I mean, I sound really good at karaoke. I know that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And today's topic, savviness versus spending. And it's basically just about tips and techniques on how to take professional quality photos on less expensive gear. Because most people, what they do is if they want to break into photography and videography, they just think, you know what, I'm going to spend $20,000 on this camera.
Don't do it.
Yeah. And, those that take good photos automatically. But yeah, I mean, you can do that. You can learn eventually. But, if it's that much money, first of all, it's expensive. Yeah. But it's also going to be a very professional camera, especially if it's that expensive. And, you can learn eventually, but there's a lot of stuff to it that maybe you're better off with the camera that's, one, less expensive, and two, something you can practice the basics on.
Yeah, because a lot of the pro level cameras that are like starting out at like 5, 6K, it's like learning another language. I'm glad when I started out on a starter DSLR. Starter DSLRs are affordable, and it's all about just basic settings. On my R6, there's a million other settings that you will need to learn when you go to a pro level camera. And so whenever I tell anybody who's starting out, start out on a budget camera, you will not regret it at all.
Yeah, exactly. When I started, I used a film camera.
I always wanted a film camera.
It's really nice. It's really nice. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of film cameras out there. Mm-hmm. And the one I started out with, I was in a photography class in high school.
Oh, true. Yeah, I took photo and digital as well.
Yeah, I only stuck with film in the high school. Mm-hmm. I think it was in college when I started moving on to digital.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I was doing film, don't remember the exact camera. I know it was a Canon or something, but there was a lot of mechanisms to it. And I'm like, it's going to be so tough to learn this. But, it's not all that hard. I mean, the instructor, I actually forgot her name. I mean, her first name was probably Rebecca or something, I think. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was just Rebecca, but yeah, she really taught us well about everything, and I was really impressed about all that. And I'm like, I'm going to take these skills, I'm going to apply it to the film camera. I mean, yeah, we also learned about developing the film, how to.
That's the fun part. I heard
it is
developing the film.
Yeah. I mean, obviously it's expensive for all the chemicals you have to get, and you have to have a dark room, have the red light on, and dip it into each chemical for a certain amount of time, and in order to get the photos. I mean, there's like 3 different batches of chemicals you have to dip it in.
Yeah, I told my wife whenever we decide to buy a house, I want a dark room in our basement, and she told me no. So
Damn.
it's gonna be rough when I move.
Okay. Hear me out. Do it anyway. Okay.
I probably will.
No, I mean, like, just convince her. You need a shed.
Yeah,
and then just make it in the shed.
Make it. Yep. Oh, dude, that's a great idea.
But yeah, that was my class, and it was actually pretty interesting. It taught me the basics. The digital class I had in college eventually taught me a lot more, not just about that, but the softwares to use to edit photos. Like Photoshop and Lightroom. I just found it fun for me to just not just play around with like different adjustments, but also personalize the photo in any way I want, like color wise.
Yeah.
The contrast, the exposure, everything. The brightness, any way you want. And I just found it fun. It was just amazing for the creations we can make.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like like I always say, it's about the person using the camera, never the gear. I've heard countless people on Instagram that are just starting out. They're all like, I've been following this photographer for a while. I got the same gear he uses, spent $8,000. Why don't my photos look like that? And I'm just like, it's not the camera.
Definitely not.
It's not the camera, y'all. Keep studying, keep watching your YouTube videos, keep developing those skills on that $500 DSLR that you got.
Yeah, like we mentioned last time, YouTube University, okay?
Yep.
They really help a lot. Like so many videos out there, so many topics. Some of the videos may not be as exciting, but they're jam-packed with a lot of information, a plethora of information.
Oh, yeah.
But you have to remember, when you play around with these photos and whenever, like, depending on what you shoot on or actually, not really. Like, you can use any type of camera regarding film or regardless of film or if it's digital or something. You always can play around with it, right? But one of those things is lighting, especially lighting. It's a big thing. It's a big category, but not even a category, but it's a big topic in photography.
I mean, lighting will make or break any photo. If you have too much light, photos most likely ruin. Too little light, your photo is going to come out super grainy and just not as presentable. So lighting is super, super, super important to capturing a great portrait, at least in my opinion.
No, it's true. It's true. But you have to remember when it comes to playing around with that, like you got to use any light at your disposal. Mm-hmm. One of the big ones, the sun up there, natural light. Oh, it's going to shine brightly on you on a sunny day, maybe even a bit of a cloudy day or partly cloudy day. Mm-hmm. And it will you can use it to your advantage. I think we mentioned this before, but if it's cloudy, clouds act as a natural diffuser too, if it just gets in the way.
Yeah.
So this way, if it's too much harsh light, which you can still shoot in, the cloud is there to help diffuse it a bit. So this way, your photo doesn't come out so harsh,
overwashed, overexposed, and everything. With the clouds make everything even and everything to the perfect exposure. And in the end, your camera's going to like it too, because when you have harsh light, sometimes your camera body will start going bonkers because it's all like overexposed.
Yeah. Happened a lot, like, because I think I was shooting in manual mode was not my first mode. It was always aperture or shutter speed mode. Mm-hmm. But whenever the light changes or whenever your position changes, obviously that's going to change too.
Yep.
Yeah, so it tends to happen a lot. But the natural light is not the only light source out there. Well, you have to remember when you're shooting outside, it's sunny, most times. But what you have to remember is that there's a lot of other light sources out there that's not, like let's take nighttime, for example. You're in a certain part of a city or somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of lampposts that can be used. And then eventually you can change the color of that and, like the lighting, like the frequency of the light later on in your software when it comes to editing. Mm-hmm. But that's just like a lamppost is one thing, but there's also all those neon light signs and all that.
Oh, I love when I see a nice neon sign at nighttime.
Yeah.
I mean, like sometimes I'm just walking around, I'm all like, dang, why don't I have a model right now or some subject that I can capture this especially when they're wearing glasses.
Yeah.
Glasses and a neon sign,
Really great.
Money.
Really great.
Money.
Yeah, reflective sunglasses too.
Yes.
They really help.
Like I'm wearing right now.
Oh, yeah. But it's just really great to just like, you can see the results. Like sometimes you don't even need a specific model. Like there's people sometimes there's people walking around. Like if you live around the area, one of my favorite places to shoot photos is in Georgetown. Have you ever shot in Georgetown?
I haven't. I've been trying to, but every time I try to shoot in Georgetown, it always ends up being a rainy day, and I'm just like, come on. I have the worst luck when I book Georgetown shoots because I'm just like, it's gonna rain. It always rains.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. Yeah, I don't think it's rain it's rain for me sometimes, but whenever.
But Georgetown, I've walked around Georgetown at night, and just the lighting from the little shops and everything is just amazing for somebody who's a natural light photographer like me, doesn't like using any strobes or anything. Georgetown would be the spot I would shoot at.
Yeah, you know what actually I did a few months ago? I actually hung out with my friends Khadija and Safia. Shout out to them. They're also
Khadija.
Khadija and Safia. They're both best friends. They're some of my close friends. They're actually part of the photos too. Safia is a bit of a photographer too, a little bit, but her and Khadija, they're both models mostly. I actually hung out with them. Surprisingly, every time I was in Georgetown, it's always like on a cold winter night, which it isn't too bad. But I did dinner with them, and then we eventually got some insomnia cookies afterwards.
Oh, I love insomnia cookies.
Insomnia
oh my gosh,
the best. Yum. Anyway. Anyway, yeah, Georgetown's really amazing, but I actually had I didn't bring my whole camera because it was just bulky and it just felt uncomfortable to bring the whole backpack and just.
Yeah.
So what I did, I actually brought my point and shoot camera.
Oh.
Yeah, which nice. The exposure it went up to was like 400. And it was really nice to at least shoot some of that. Like I even used my iPhone to record some moody type of videos because you're able to edit videos in Lightroom. And that's what I did. And I just recorded some at Georgetown and then eventually had the film developed.
Amazing.
Yeah. And it's really great. It's honestly, some of the photos came out grainy, but others actually came out really well, better than what I expected. I just had to play around with the colors a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it just looked very vintage to me. Like I was very moody, like something like, that's what I'm talking about. See, sometimes you don't really need specific models when it comes to that. Like you can take pictures of the buildings themselves, the lights themselves, and then play around with it.
Yeah.
Even people walking around.
Yeah, I'm a little weird about shooting people that are just walking around.
Like, it's
shots of.
It's weird sometimes. These like they do that, right? But sometimes, and then like I don't know if it's really a bad. What do you say? Is it a good moment or a bad moment when you're taking the shot and then they look at you?
It depends.
And they're like, what are you doing? It
really depends. That can either go good or very, very bad.
Yeah. I mean, not saying they're going to go up to you and like punch you in the face or something.
I mean, maybe.
Okay, well, maybe.
We don't know that.
Yeah. I guess some people just don't like it, but you might.
You got to take risks sometimes when it comes to this. Sometimes you got to take a risk to create some art.
I mean, you're out there. I mean, you see a lot of people on like social media and all that. You see take pictures of like, this is one photographer on TikTok. I don't remember his handle.
I think the one that walks up to random people and is just like, "Oh my God, you're so gorgeous. Can I take a picture of you or something?"
Well, that's one guy who does it. But he asked, and this is one specific model, like a specific model, and he asked him.
Yeah,
that's one thing.
Yeah, that makes me cringe.
Yeah, well, I mean, he does it in a very appropriate way.
Yeah, an appropriate way. Yeah,
and professional, if you say, I would say. Yeah. But this is one other photographer. He says he takes photos of people on the street. He's like makes them into main characters of a movie. He makes them the main characters. So
like he goes up to homeless people and just
like for example, he shot in. I think this is in New York. He shot in Chinatown at one point. And there's this one just guy walking down the street in the crosswalk, and then the guy is just walking, and like he focuses on him. Everyone else is like walking by that's either it's a bit more blurred or they're just out of the picture. He focuses on that one person, and I think when he edits the picture, he uses like a vignette to kind of darken everything else mostly, or at least the people around. And then I get what he means, but he's the main character, so that was his model for that moment. You know, and he does this a lot with a lot of other people who walk by.
That's interesting.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, there's times where they actually end up looking at it. Now, another guy does the same thing in another part of the country, like in Switzerland, maybe Belgium. But every time the people look at him, like when he captures their photos, they almost always end up smiling at him. I guess it happens sometimes, it's not all the time.
I mean, people are happier outside of here.
Yeah.
Sadly.
Yeah. There's a lot of that goes into that. But yeah. Something else in addition to light, you got to play around with the dark side, shadows.
Oh, this is my specialty right here.
Yeah.
Especially during harsh light. Okay. So I know I said in the last podcast, don't shoot at high noon. You can shoot at high noon. You just have to work with the harsh shadows. There are ways you can get over that and everything. It's just going to take some practice. But shadows are your friends. When you're doing a harsh light, or you're doing a shoot at high noon, find a fence. Let the shadows of the fence get on your subject's face. Creates something so abstract, so beautiful, so different that it will catch another person's eye.
It really does help, yeah. Like the shadows that you find everywhere, like fences, rails.
Oh yeah.
If you're indoors, there's window frames that really help.
Banisters.
Yeah. Sometimes curtains.
Yeah.
And drapes.
I mean, blinds too.
They do, yeah.
Years ago, I did a boudoir shoot in a B&B, and the light was coming in, and we just opened the blinds a little bit, and it was just the most awesome shadow pattern.
Yeah, there's actually ways you can create it on Photoshop too. Yeah, it's a bit of a process, but you can do that on there too. Mm-hmm. But when you do it naturally, it just turns out really, really great.
Yeah,
it just creates like a certain emotion, and it just makes it powerful, in my opinion. And you can play around, and this is one way of playing around with the shadows. I mean, yeah, you can, like, depends of how much you want it in. Like, yeah, it's one thing to have it come through certain objects and create shapes, but it's also another thing to, like, I think one photo of yours, there was one model who had like half of her body covered in shadows. Like, it was bright enough for anyone to look at, right? But the other side was more, the sun got her other side.
Yeah,
the other half
I like to play with shadows. So whenever I'm walking around an area when I'm doing a shoot and I see like streaks of shadows, I tell my model, hey, let me get you posed up right here. And I try to figure out where the shadows are going in a way that will look flattering, and I capture the shot. So whenever I'm anywhere and I see some really nice shadows, I just go crazy because I just know the shot's going to look amazing and beautiful once it's done.
In addition to that, always play around with your environment. And what I mean by that is, like, if you're shooting in nature, it's one thing to play around is with the light, right? Mm-hmm. But like, let's say there's a bunch, and this is shadows too. Mm-hmm. Let's say you're shooting in a forest somewhere, and then you want some of that shadow and some of that light. Light, sometimes like the sun will come beaming through a bunch of leaves and branches from a tree or something, and then it'll shine through. It'll create some sort of like a heavenly beams of light coming down on you. Like, it doesn't happen all the time, but it'll happen. You just have to keep your eye out for it. Yeah, it'll shine through, and then like on the model, it'll look really amazing. I mean, maybe even not just a model, maybe like a certain path in a forest. It just looks amazing, especially after you edit it. And like that shot itself is actually pretty great, like really amazing when it pops out. Like, but that's just one example of playing with the environment. There's like so many ways you can play around with it. Like, any examples come to mind to you?
I mean, I said it before with the fences and
stuff
that's one like that.
Yeah,
I mean, even in cities with the buildings, sometimes buildings will cast like, I can't even explain what I'm trying to explain, but like,
I think I know what you're saying. I think because I've been around in Farragut West in DC, and what happens? What tends to happen is like there's buildings like near DuPont too. Mm-hmm. On a certain time of the day, either in the early morning or maybe late afternoon, depends where you are, or depends where the buildings are. Mm-hmm. It'll shine on the building and then create like a certain like glare or something.
Exactly. That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, create a really good reflection right there.
Yeah.
I've seen it on buildings, and it's just, it shines on part of the building, and it shines on the windows, and then it for me, I look at it, and it's a bit eerie, because I picture it in black and white, and that looks really good, and it's also eerie. That's one thing. See, but that's more so like architectural or street photography.
But you can also put a subject around and see what you can come up with as well.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Because you can, if you want, you can try your best to apply it to if you're shooting a model or something. You can
Exactly.
Yeah, or if you're like a certain like pigeon or actually we don't have pigeons in DC, do we?
Yeah, we do.
We do.
We do. If you ever walk downtown, there's a ton of pigeons, especially.
Okay, maybe I'm not paying attention. I got
Lafayette Park is like has a ton of them. Where's it Lafayette Square? I've only been living in DC for 2 years. Give me a pass on that one.
Okay, I just take the train and just walk. Okay, so I got to pay attention to.
Yeah,
but,
I mean,
but if there's a pigeon, you can find it, take a picture of it. Like that's an example of a model right there, and in using your environment, because those pigeons will go anywhere. See, and then you just have to roll with the punches.
Now DC does have pigeons, but it's not like New York City.
Yeah,
amount of pigeons. It's a very limited amount of pigeons in DC, but there are pigeons.
Yeah, there's more rats here.
There's
pigeons.
more rats. Yeah.
Although I don't see anyone take pictures of rats, right? But like I said, roll with the punches because like you're always gonna find a certain subject anywhere, and you just gotta you just gotta work with what you got right there. Dry lips. I know. I don't have chapstick. It sucks. Because I run my mouth a lot and then
oh my! I can't.
Oh man.
So I know we were talking about all these things with cameras, DSLRs, film cameras, mirrorless, but now we're going to dive into the world of something that everybody has in their pocket every single day. Well, not everybody, but some people.
Yeah.
We're talking about iPhones, iPhone photography.
Yeah, see that little rectangle in your pocket can do so much for so many people.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's a phone, right? It has the word iPhone in it. You can make phone calls with it. You can text people.
You can FaceTime people.
You can take pictures too, right? I mean, you can play YouTube on it. You can play games on it.
You can take cinema quality videos as well.
Yeah, they are Apple. Like for example, I'm only saying because we both have iPhones. They really did a lot to enhance it up to now. Like there's like iPhone 14.
Yeah, we're on 14 now. I don't know what's the next one up. Yeah,
it might be. Hear me out.
Okay,
the 15.
The 15. Yeah, whenever they announce that.
Yeah, whenever they will. But I feel like they're gonna do it soon.
Yeah,
because it seems like every time I try to get a new one, like an upgrade, then they say, "Hey, here comes the iPhone 15" or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'll do something like, or the iPhone X or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what they're going to do. And they really did a lot to enhance it. Like cinema mode really just like, so I unfortunately have like an iPhone 11 at the moment. I might upgrade soon. Yeah. But you have the iPhone 14.
I have the 13 Pro Max.
13.
I don't have the 14.
Okay, 13.
The only difference between the 13 and the 14 is the dynamic island. So I don't have a dynamic island, which is just a section of the phone that's just like, it's weird. I can't even explain it. But yeah.
No, I get it. Yeah, but what baffled me at first is actually when they introduced in one of their ads was a cinema mode.
Yeah, I have that.
Yeah, because I know this is because that's, I don't know. I think that's specifically for videography, right?
Yeah, specifically for videography. Basically, it films in 30 frames per second, but the bokeh is so
Yeah, I saw that. It's amazing.
Everything is super blurred out, but your subject. So it's really eye-opening.
Yeah, like some people use it to just film themselves, doing like a certain video, a podcast, or something like that.
Yeah, it is. It's pretty. It's a different. Yeah, I can't even explain it. It's just wow.
Yeah, but that's regarding videos. I mean, they do well in videos too, but we'll get to that. What we told people actually before in the previous episode, I think even now, regarding equipment and gear. Well, this is just me too. Like when I started digital photography, I always started with an iPhone because I was like, okay, let's see, I got to learn, different stuff like the angles, the lighting, and the so on. You can control the shadows and the lighting certain points in the video. Oh no, sorry, the photo. And you can control the shadows and lights in the photos, and you can do so much with it. I mean, yeah, you can edit it afterwards, but that's how you can start with. And it's really interesting all you can do with that little rectangle in your pocket.
It's a pretty powerful little rectangle.
Yeah. What a lot of people actually even probably, I don't know if a lot of people use this, but see, like if I go on my iPhone right now, they have, well, this is at least for my phone.
Okay.
They have the time lapse mode.
Oh yeah, I still have that. Yep.
Yeah, they have it takes a lot of memory, but it's interesting. You leave your phone somewhere and it'll record, like it'll crunch everything that you record. But that's interesting to me, and it's actually pretty interesting that they added that to the phone.
Yeah.
Another thing that actually takes up a lot of memory: slow-mo.
Slow-mo does? Really?
Well,
I've rarely used time lapse or slow-mo, so I didn't know it.
Well, time lapse is one thing, but slow-mo. Well, I don't know if you ever used it. Did you actually use it?
I've never. The only slow-mo I use is on my Canon that I use.
Okay, well, I actually used it a few times. I actually did it for basic stuff.
Oh.
I just dropped like a little marble in a glass of water and then recorded that in slow-mo. It's actually interesting because the way it captures that ball just coming through, and then like the slow motion, like the different motions that is made in the water just splashing. It's interesting to look at because like the structures change each time and the flow of the water. It's amazing. But that's slow-mo. And you can do it with anything. You can do it with basically recording people running and just slow it down. A lot of people use it. It's interesting. Well, from what I saw in videos, or at least some people use it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's actually interesting. I don't know if Apple did this, but there was one phone company that actually put it out in their new phone that's going to come out at some point. There's this one in the ad. One woman was actually recording her son running in, I guess, like a running competition, like cross country or something. And she was using her phone. And apparently the new phone that is coming out, it records a person, like, for example, if they're doing an action, like running, for example. But there's a stability mode. And so, for example, if I use my phone to record someone now running, obviously it's going to be a lot of motion in there.
Oh yeah, that's new. I think that's coming out with. I think Apple's coming out with that.
They are.
I think so. It's called action mode.
Yeah. Okay.
I think Apple. I think that's Apple written all over. I think.
Yeah, and they can do, and now you can do the same thing, but now the video's more stable. You don't even need like a whole tripod or a selfie stick to keep it stable. It's interesting to see how far we've come with this, with the technology here. And you can do videos now, high quality videos, and no blurriness, no motion, and it can keep it still. It does it for you. It's so interesting, And video, see, I have a standard video mode, and then I go to photos, and then right next to it, what do I see? Portrait mode.
Oh, portrait mode.
I know, yeah, because I thought I could just do it with my camera this whole time, and then I think I forget which phone actually introduced it, but when it was introduced, and then now you have portrait mode that just focuses on the subject, regardless if it's a person,
blurs out that background.
Yeah, exactly, and it does it so well. And what's even better, you look into it, you probably know, I don't know if you noticed, but there's a lot of different modes on there. There's natural light mode, contour light mode, studio light, stage light mono, and high key light mono. Each with the different purpose. So natural light, obviously, as self-explanatory right there, natural light from a sun. Studio light. Well, I'm not familiar with every single mode, but I do know that stage light mono and high key light mono, like it does it in monotone colors like black and white. But like, for example, stage light will actually focus the light on you. So it's like it's a stage light. So for example, it'll probably brighten your body up or your whatever subject you're shooting up, but everything else will make it dark or black. So it's just you in the picture. And I find that so interesting. It's just that, so have you used any of these modes at all? Like portrait mode you already used, but you never used any of those modes?
I've never used any of those. Well, I've usually done like most of, I guess I'm not too creative with my iPhone, actually.
Well, I was bored during like the COVID quarantine, and I was like experimenting with it every little bit I got, every chance I got. Because what I've noticed that people are doing in order to get it's interesting because I saw this one guy. He actually was recommending people do this for their profiles when it comes to professional pictures, like for LinkedIn or even for their dating profiles. Take a moody or emotional picture using natural light coming from the window, but use like I think it was either natural light mode or one of the mono modes. Basically, take a picture with shadow. Let the natural light come in through the window, light half of your body, and then the other half is just all blacked out with shadow, or most of it is. So, and then like imagine you're at the window and you're crossing your arms, looking this way, or looking to your depending right or left, depending where the window is, and then the natural light comes in, and then you're just like this, and it's black and white, and then like there's a lot of detail on this side, and then not so much on this side, but that's kind of the point.
Okay.
Like, and it creates an emotional picture right there. And the fact that it's done on an iPhone, it baffled me at first. Yeah. So like, there's so much you can do with this little thing.
I mean, I just started really getting creative with I don't know if you've been following my Instagram story the past couple days.
Yeah.
I've been messing with shadows big time. And I was just like, wow, this iPhone could do a lot.
Yeah. Just like we said before, feel free to mess with the lights and the shadows. So like different emotions you can create on there, like either something bright and happy or something, more shadowy, but also like a dark feeling, like maybe some sorrow in there. Like I said, you can do so much with these iPhones, but that's for photos, for videos is something a whole lot different.
Yeah. Videos is really like, I'm impressed with how Apple has done their iPhones. Videos are just mind blowing. So, there is, first off, you have two. I think you have two options. You can film in 1080p or 4K. 4K, you can film 24 frames per second, 30 frames per second, 60 frames per second. I don't know if there's 120. There's not 120 frames per second. And you can also do the same thing for 1080p as well. Another thing that Apple has done is on their videos, there is a ProRes option, which makes everything super duper sharp and smooth motion, but it is only available in 30 frames per second, which is basically your normal YouTube video. And if you're watching the news are filmed in 30 frames per second. 24 frames per second, which is what amazes me, is this iPhone camera. My iPhone 13 Pro Max has HDR Dolby Vision, which is what is used in many major films today on those cameras. So I film in 4K 24 frames per second on the Dolby Vision mode, and it's just like, did a phone take this, or is this a $10,000 camera? The endless possibilities you can do when it comes to video on an iPhone, it's just even talking about it and looking at my iPhone right now and playing around with stuff, it's just still mind-blowing how much power you have in the palm of your hand with this piece of technology right here.
Yeah. I mean, you just have to have the memory to deal with that. Oh, no, you can go back and delete it afterwards. But there's just so much you can do with it. And it's just like, I'm repeating myself, but I'm still, to this day, I'm still baffled at how much we've come along. And it's still good. Obviously, there's going to be a lot more improvements.
Oh yeah, I'm so hyped to see where they can go even further with this.
Because we always started with one. It started with one lens, I think, for the very first one, and like a little microphone. Yeah,
now it's like 2-3 lenses.
I have 2 lenses. You have 3 lenses.
Because the pro versions, I think have 3, and the regular versions have 2. As for which is better, there's not really a difference, to be honest. In my opinion, I've used a regular 13. It works the same way the Pro does. So. Yeah, I really don't know why there's a price difference, to be honest.
Yeah, it's kind of, I don't know. You leave it to them. It's kind of.
I think it's marketing or something.
Maybe we should talk to one of those employees at Apple. Yeah, because I want an explanation. I want an explanation, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, but going back to the whole, like work with your budget. That's one thing you can start with.
Yeah.
And it's like it's just not that hard, honestly. Like this is one way to start it.
Yeah.
It's so amazing. But don't make the mistake, obviously, of buying a really expensive camera. You stick with what you got. iPhones. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because that a lot of cameras nowadays, the ones that are more really advanced, they cost so much.
Yeah,
so much.
They definitely can. And then the new wave of lens now, like especially the Canon RF series, I'm just like, Canon, what are y'all doing? Like, you can get the RF lenses like are starting. If you want a decent lens, it's like you're dropping $700.
Yeah.
But like, so I literally just buy my EF mount lenses and just get an adapter to add on to my R6 and just use my old lenses on my R6 because, man, it's getting crazy nowadays.
I mean,
cameras are getting pricey.
Yeah, I mean, when I say work with your budget, you know, obviously there's like so many things out there you can use. Facebook Marketplace, eBay. I think there's another example, maybe Amazon, but they tend to just give the same price that they usually sell at other places like Best Buy or something. But I mean, I personally use eBay, Facebook Marketplace usually. I don't know if you have any other recommendations. I mean, maybe there's MQB. They tend to lower prices.
I use when I got my R6, I use KEH.
True. Okay, that is
KEH. They have some great prices, and their employees are awesome as ever. Like when I called them and talked to them about stuff, they are so well versed and just it's just awesome talking to them. Yeah. Shout outs to KEH.
Yeah. But they have a lot of good prices. Like when I started, I have my Nikon D3200. It's a DSLR from I think it came out around either 2011 or before 2011. But it was a really good DSLR. It did really well for it. Like there were some flaws, I admit. For example, like the ISO, you know, how to control that brightness in their photo. It only went up to 6400 and I didn't really like that. I know it made the photos a lot grainy whenever I shot at night. Yeah. And so it didn't really do that well. But it did take some good photos, you know. And then the lens, the body itself, along with everything it came with, I think I got it from eBay. It was $100. Oh wow! Yeah, not. It wasn't that bad.
Nice.
However, the lens, it was a third. My first lens was like a prime lens, a 35 millimeter. It was really good, and it was a cost about the same price. So I had to get that separately, like a week later.
Interesting.
Yeah, but all from eBay, you know, and they had like for a really good price for a camera that actually taught me the basics. It was old, but it was pretty well.
There you go.
Yeah, I did so much with it, and there's still so much I can do with it. But I moved on to a mirrorless, Sony A7 II. You know, and so I'm practicing with that now, or doing a lot with that now. So it's just really good for, you know, like I'm very grateful for Nikon or that Nikon camera that I got because it was a cheap price. It was a good lens. I mean, yeah, eventually I got an 85 millimeter lens, which is for portraits. It's a big boy lens. Really big lens. And it was like $200, maybe $300, I believe.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah. But it was a portrait lens. It was big. And it would actually, it did really well. It really helped me a bit.
Man, Canon's prices are ridiculous. I wish I could find
that's why I never did.
85 millimeter for that much. I mean, the RF lens is 85 millimeter. It's like $1,000 right now.
Yeah, that's why I never really bothered to get into Canon. You know, I was like, you know, everyone's using Canon. No one's using Nikon, as far as I can see. So
I just don't want to learn a whole new system. That's the only thing. So I'm just sticking with Canon.
True. But always remember, you know, like again, repetition, but stick with your budget because gear. Like it doesn't like cheap gear. It's sometimes better than expensive gear. I mean, yeah, there's some limitations, but not a lot. You can still do a lot with it.
You could do a ton with. I wouldn't even call it cheap gear. I call it budget gear because you're working with a budget.
That's a good way to word it.
Yeah. Cheap gear is like a term that they use to just kind of talk down to photographers just because they are not spending $10,000 on equipment.
Yeah, I know. I mean, there's some photographers out there who they think they're like the big cheese. I met a lot of them on Twitter who say like just because they have cheap gear, they suck at content creating. That they're really bad content creators.
There's a couple in this area that did that to me, but I'm not naming names on this podcast.
Yeah, true. I knew about a guy who did that same thing, but he was from London or something. Or he was from he was like, you know, like he's like, I'm being real with you, brother. And then he literally said that. He literally said, I'm being real with you. Like my gosh, if you get into photography, like you gotta find a way to be, you know, just as good as me or something like that. Yeah. Because I'm big in the game, and I'm like, right. But he insulted people on Twitter, like their photographs.
Oh no!
I know. I'm like, who gave you the right to critique all these photos?
Exactly.
Yeah, it's just like but like just because you have cheap gear, or I guess like you call it budget gear, you know, it doesn't really make you a bad content creator. But what really actually makes content really great. And think about this. Okay, you got to play around with a lot of stuff, and I'm not just saying the environment, but with like so many like different, not just even materials, but like you got to experiment out there, dabble with each different type of photography in order to find like something you're good at. Like what's the word, niche?
Yeah, like I didn't start out just doing portraits.
Yeah, no one did.
Most of us did not start out with whatever. Well, some people did. I mean,
everyone starts small. Like, see, like I said before, I started with nature and I started with insects too. I saw like different crickets, grasshoppers, and you know what? They stood still luckily for a moment. And I'm like just turning my phone around or like using my film camera or something, taking a shot of that, and then it just came out really great. Same with flowers, because flowers are probably the best models to start with.
Oh yeah, flowers.
Yeah, you go to any botanical garden.
Yes.
Like I did a really good project for my photography class in the botanical garden in DC near the Capitol building. It was really nice. You know, I mean, yeah, it's small, but like the moment you just walk around, it's just so spacious.
Yeah.
Different plants in different areas. Like my favorite was obviously, I know you probably been at the garden before, right?
Yeah, I've been to the botanical garden.
Yeah, like there was that one tropical area, like the tropical part. Yeah, you can just walk around. If you have a zoom lens, great. You can even take shots of like different plants there. It's just so amazing what you can do.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and then I think they have a lot of steam there too, and then because of the tropical part, and then like its lines, like light shines through. Sometimes
that's the one thing I like about the botanical garden, because it's just so open and just the natural light in there is just beautiful. Now I've seen people try to do portrait shoots in there and it goes terribly wrong. Guys, don't do photo shoots in federal properties if you don't have a permit, or at least call beforehand.
If anything, the only reason my photos just came out bad is because of the lack of space, because people kept walking around.
Yeah, it's not a big space. It's not a big space.
It's very limited. So I wouldn't. We tried it. My group, the photos, we tried it before, but it was very limited. Now, if anything, we probably got more shots in the outside garden, not the inside. But that's just that. But going back to it, nature photography is always the easiest to start with, in my opinion.
That's how I started.
It might be your niche. You never know. But I believe that's like the best way to start. Yeah, maybe even street photography is a good way to start too, but it tends to be difficult.
The best start to any photography is whatever you step your foot out to.
Yeah.
Just start to, like when I started, I was all like, shoot everything. Just literally like a pebble on the ground. This here, that hook right there on the ceiling right here in the studio.
Yeah.
Just like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going like maybe like very light hiking, like in like in the that one trip. What's that one trip called?
The Billy Goat Trail?
Yeah, and what's that park called? Or
isn't that like Maryland or something?
Well, I mean, yeah, but like the Maryland and Virginia have a difference. Like, it's the same park, but they have two different sides. Great Falls.
Great Falls. Yeah, there's Great Falls, Maryland, and Great Falls, Virginia.
Yeah, okay. Which I think maybe Maryland is the best side, right? Because like it's more like,
I have no idea.
It's more of a challenge.
Yeah. All I know is the homes out there start at like $30 million.
The homes there look so. It's like McMansions. It looks so amazing. Yeah, but yeah, they do cost a lot. And
yeah, I work in real estate. I've seen the numbers on those. I'm just kind of like, I'm broke.
Maybe one day.
One day.
But nature photography. Now, I guess we all have our own opinion about what the most difficult niche or difficult photography out there is to kind of like get a good grasp on. Like you said it was astro, right?
No, I said weddings.
Weddings?
Well, weddings, astro, I don't have much knowledge on astro photography. All I know is wedding photography seems like it is the most stressful, long, it's just everything, because I'm still technically a newlywed with my wife. We got married in October, and
congrats.
Thanks. And just seeing how much our wedding photographer had to do that whole day. Like the day started at like 7 a.m. She was at our Airbnb, did not put her camera down until 10:30 p.m.
Damn.
When I say, like, that woman was dedicated. And her second shooter, same thing, did not put his camera down until 10:30 p.m. Like, he was just shooting the whole day. Shout outs to Cicely and Kevin. I miss you two. I hope you're listening to this podcast. We need to hang out very soon.
Yeah, please. I mean, seriously, hang out with him, because like he wants to, and two, like I know he's really helping you up, because that sounds like a whole workout.
Yeah,
I could never do that, because I don't know.
Yeah.
Like for one thing, you know, people who have weddings out there, feed your photographers, please.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they were fed very well.
Okay, great. Awesome.
Yeah.
Because they deserve that.
Yeah.
Because they're putting so much work into the videos and the photos and all that. Like, I don't know, to make that special day special. And it's just, I can see why it's so difficult. Like, I could never do that. Like, the most I could do engagements.
Yeah,
but,
engagements are that's low. That's less like pressure.
Yeah.
Wedding photos, they are supposed to last a lifetime.
Yeah.
You cannot screw that up. You
Yeah.
screw that up and your whole career is done.
Yeah, because you communicate well with the person that's going to engage, and then you just have to sneak through wherever you're
Exactly.
going.
Yeah.
It's just fun to me, right? But for weddings, it's just like not. I'm not saying it's not fun, but was not like it looks fun. But like eventually, you have to capture everything.
Yeah.
Do all the editing. You have to edit like 8,000 photos or something like that. Like it's just.
I think we got 2,000 photos back or something like that.
It's just so much. I can't do that.
But the photos were beautiful.
Oh, I probably have to look back at it. Yeah, have
Yeah.
to. But still, that sounds pretty amazing. Yeah,
Yeah.
but I mean, astrophotography, in my opinion, like a street is one thing that you can get a grasp on, but it's pretty difficult in my opinion too. But astrophotography is also another thing. Like not maybe even astrovideography.
Oh, there's a videography aspect too?
Well, there's some people do a time lapse, but like that's one of the most videos they would do.
Okay.
Maybe even reels of like slow motion shots of
Like a meteor shower or something?
Yeah. Because I've done that before at Shenandoah Overlook. And it was amazing because me and a few friends like Abel, Safia, you know, we decided to not camp out, but like we found a good part of the park where we can see it. And there was very little light pollution. So that's something you got to watch out for. When it comes to astrophotography, you always watch out for light pollution. You do not want that in your shot.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah. So we found a good part in the park. We parked our car right there in the lot, and then we had yoga mats that we laid out, and we just laid in there, talked and all, maybe had some snacks here and there. But we also just looked at the sky, and we had our cameras and tripods ready. And now, considering my camera at the time, my Nikon does not do well in low light. The pictures came out very grainy, obviously, but like I try my best to lower the grain in post editing, but it did okay. Like it captured some of it was okay. But my friend Safia had a Sony A6000.
Oh.
And for a small camera that does it's very, very compact, right? But it does so much.
Yeah.
Like it does better in low light. I think the ISO goes up to what? I don't remember from the top of my head, maybe 25,000, maybe more. If I remember correctly. But it's really great. It did really well for the photos she took, and it was amazing. Did better than mine. It was crystal clear, not that much grain. It was amazing, and we did really well in low light. And the photos she captured, we were both able to capture her specifically. She was able to capture the Milky Way, or at least part of the Milky Way. That was it was nice. It was so nice.
Insane. That's
I know.
Awesome.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of settings to it. You got to have long exposure. The shutter speed's got to be like very low or I guess low. Yeah.
Really
yeah.
low.
Yeah. But you have to increase the aperture, I think. No, or decrease the aperture, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
you got to open it. You got to open it.
Focus. Yeah. You got to make sure everything's in focus, nothing blurred out.
Exactly. Yeah. But so much. But I mean, I find that very difficult. That's my opinion. And aside from that, there's a lot of different niches out there, like wedding photographers, astrophotography, street photography, nature, the easiest,
Abandoned photography. Please, I just want to touch on that. Please be careful with abandoned photography. I've heard horror stories of people stepping on needles or stuff like that, or the staircases imploding on them. Do your research and be safe, and please abide by all the current state, federal laws.
Por favor, okay, please, because I mean, because like I've seen people do similar stuff, like videos and photos in abandoned asylums. It's interesting, right? To me, I just found it was pretty cool.
Yeah,
but I think people need there's a certain point where you just shouldn't do that all the time, I think.
Yeah.
Because if one thing, it could be on federal property.
And that you can get hit with some big charges when it comes to the feds. You got to be careful with the feds.
That's one thing.
Yeah.
Number two, potential asbestos.
Oh, I wasn't even thinking about that. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's one thing I bring up to anyone who wants to do something in an abandoned place. Because I'm like, you got to watch out for that because it's in there. It could be black mold. It could be asbestos. It could be.
You got to wear a gas mask when you're going in there.
Exactly. Yeah. Not just for like, I guess, fun or decoration or or a prop, but yeah, wear a mask in general. You always got to do that.
Yep.
It's just, something to keep in mind, but abandoned photography. Yep. There's fashion, something that we both dabbled in because it's really nice. So nice, especially in the studio, in my opinion.
Yes. Definitely.
You can even do it outside too, but in a studio, it's just, you have the strobe lights and everything, you can do it. It does it's really well. Food photography, editorial, still life, commercial, and so on.
Yeah.
But those are a lot of the common ones, and then portrait photography is another common one, but there's so much into it that you gotta like, I guess, consider when it comes to portrait photography.
There's a whole lot to portrait photography. A whole lot. I mean, gosh, I don't think there's like a set like definition of what portrait photography is, because you can do anything with it and everything with it.
Well, you can do a lot. Well, I guess it kind of depends when you play around with it, or I guess it depends what the purpose of that photo is.
Exactly.
Yeah, because like when we get hit up for any portrait sessions, at least like for probably one of the biggest reasons for it is the LinkedIn and professional photos.
Yep, headshots, business headshots.
Yeah, or for like, I mean, because I was recently hit up about a pageant or pageant competition.
Oh,
yeah. So obviously they need those, but for professional ones, there's a lot of those that are needed, and because a lot of people look for that, because like when it comes to professional profiles, like good picture is needed, and then to get those good pictures, I mean, yeah, you could take it yourself if you know how to do it, but
yeah,
you always hire those good professional photographers to bring in their equipment, their camera, and everything, and then just take those wonderful, crisp photos.
Exactly.
So you look appealing, you stand out. I mean, your potential employer might be like, you know what? I want to hire that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he looks professional. He looks like he knows what he's doing. But there's a lot of good ones you can experiment with that. Maybe with angles you can. Depends how you want to stand out, how you want to portray yourself. And I'm talking about, obviously we discussed this with the client. Yeah.
Always have a discussion beforehand, so on the day of, you're not just trying to be like, oh, dude, like trying to figure things out on the fly.
Yeah.
Always go to a portrait shoot knowing what you're shooting, how you're going to shoot it, so it just goes smooth and there's no bumps in the road.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like obviously when you're doing it, like for me, for example, like I would have my portrait lens ready, any lighting ready, shoot away. Just make sure you know how to pose your model. But like in the situation for professional photos, or I guess any competition photos, like for example, for professional photos, obviously you want like a side profile sometimes, and then like just them looking at you. Obviously upper torso, shoulders, head, maybe even full body. But I don't really like, that's kind of a rare occasion. Yeah, for me, it's mostly like upper torso, head, shoulders, sometimes like just upper torso from like the middle, and then that's about it. Yeah. But I don't know if you ever were hit up for any fashion competitions like comp cards.
No, I mean, I've had people inquire about them, but usually with how most of the time when models need comp cards, it's like right away, and I'm never really like available right then and there.
Oh, I see.
So, yeah.
Yeah, luckily I was in a shoot with someone. And then they eventually they did tell me before the shoot, like, hey, can we also fit in these comp card shoots in the shots? And I'm like, you know what, we're doing this, we might as well do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I'm like, and I did it. And then you know what? She used those photos for her comp cards when she went to New York Fashion Week. And those photos are actually well done, in my opinion. And she actually agreed with it. It was pretty well done. She was satisfied with it.
Awesome.
Yeah. And it just, but those comp cards, not just headshots, but full body. Like, and I'm talking all the way head to toe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because, for those modeling agencies and all those, like, this is New York Fashion Week, they're going to require those comp cards, like, and the full body, side, back, your head, everything.
Exactly.
Yeah. But that's still portrait photography. And then, there's a lot of clients for that. See, there's professional, and technically those fashion editorial ones that are also professional in some cases, like I said, New York Fashion Week. So those are probably the most, I don't know if there's any other audience. So like those are probably the biggest audiences.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, there's so much you can put in there, like They're the moods. You can. I mean, for comp cards, you don't really create a mood. I guess you just.
It's just a casual.
Yeah, it's just posing. A lot of casual poses.
Casual poses.
Yeah, for professionals, same thing. But unless you want to create a mood or like, well, I mean, I never really took a moody professional shot of someone unless they wanted me to.
Yeah.
Yeah. If anything, they just have to look professional and stand out. Maybe even a smile or something. But
yeah, it's
about it. Yeah. With that, it's very basic, very simple, simplistic. And you keep it simple. Yeah. So we're okay. I think we're actually already at the market saturation. Yeah. Okay. So portrait photography, like in general, is just anyone can get into it. Yeah, it's a specific niche. Yeah, a newbie can try to get into it, but it'll take a bit because you can. I mean, yeah, if you start with the basic camera like an iPhone and all that, like we talked about before, you can take like iPhones have portrait mode. That's one way to practice it, very basic. But
definitely,
when you get an actual camera and you practice portrait mode, you got to learn everything, like we talked about before: ISO, aperture, shutter speed, and all. And you got
to not just press a button and you get a beautiful portrait. It's a lot of different parts to this thing.
Exactly. Yeah, because you got to apply that to those professional photos because they're going to ask. They're going to hire you for that reason, and then all those, like, at least for me, for shooting at studios, like, there's strobe lights and all that, studio lights, panoramic lights and all that you can use to your advantage to create the photo. But you need to practice with those too, because, flash is something else that's something to talk about, but we'll probably save it for another time.
Definitely.
Yeah, but because there's a lot to it, actually. You got to practice and learn about that. It'll take a while. But anyone can get into any of these niches, just a lot of practice.
Yeah.
And when you do that, once you get in there, once you learn, when you get into the world of photography, you'll stand out in your own way. And when you stand out, like, I honestly think you'll grow bigger. Like, I stood out because of my whole, like, not just my work, but also my name.
Yes.
You got to have a unique name. Like,
yeah, definitely. I mean, the one thing I tell people that are starting out, if you want to make a name for yourself, be different. Don't try to be like every other photographer out there. Whenever I go on Instagram, I see about like 4 or 5 different shots that all look the same, but they're by 5 different photographers, and because they're trying to emulate this one type of style. So when I started out, I was trying out a million different things, and I just created my own preset, my own little look, because in the end, you want somebody to look at your work and not have to scroll to see who took this photo. You want people to look at your work and be like, oh, Emerson took that photo. Oh, Peach definitely took this photo. That's how you stand out. You just got to be different. Don't follow the trends. Be different. Be you. Create your own brand. And the rest is up from there.
Pretty much. I mean, yeah. I mean, you can follow a trend if you want to, but you got to customize it and make it your own.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, for example, like I'll be honest, like on Twitter, I did follow Brandon Wolfel, and then you probably think he's really well. I mean, he's
one of my favorites, in my top 5.
Yeah, because actually I have he's I wouldn't say he's an inspiration for me, but he did do some shots and photos before that. Actually,
and he's an all around nice guy. I've talked to him on Instagram in my DMs. He's awesome. Yeah, damn. I've asked him for like advice for certain things, and he's one of the nicest human beings.
No, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Actually, I have my own. I have my own inspo. Have you ever heard of Moody Darkroom?
That rings a bell.
That's his handle on Instagram.
Yeah, Moody Darkroom. Yeah, that rings a bell. I just can't remember. I gotta look it up. I'm gonna look it up right now.
Yeah, for you guys who he's my inspo because I love Moody shots because they represent like a feeling that I have inside me. I usually bring in this vibe of shots or photo shoot theme around like the fall and winter time because that's a time when everyone's mood just fluctuates because of the season. And when I do that, it's just I like to play with the colors and I like to play with the mood that the colors bring out in the whole photo. And it's just something I find it mesmerizing because like I said, I love my colors. When I do that, it brings a really powerful emotion, but it looks very moody, like very like you're sad, like you just went through a really bad breakup or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Or like someone
I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah, or someone drank the last drop of orange juice or something. Like
orange juice.
Yeah, no, but it's like it looks like full of sorrow, but that's what I like, and that's what I found. That was my specialty. That was my calling, I believe. Yeah, like moody and then moody risque. You know, it's like a little more. It's like you're in a room and let's say like a hotel room vibe. You have all these neon lights around. You play around with it. You create a mood in there, and it just goes from there. And yeah, like moody darkroom is one of my inspirations. That's how I stood out too, because like I said, I dabble with every type of photography out there as much as I can. I play around with the colors and the editing because I don't have an actual personal preset. I probably should do that.
Yeah.
But
it makes the editing process a lot.
Yeah. Like quicker. Because I have 10 different presets for different occasions. Like I play around with the colors as much as I can. Yeah. Now there's no way for people to tell that's my signature unless probably I put a logo on the photo, but you know, obviously they'll find out eventually it was me. But I play around so much with it. Like it's hard to recognize it, but like I took a picture of Chelsea at one point, our friend Chelsea. Nice. And I added like a Blade Runner type of vibe to it.
Why do I feel like I've seen this? Was this at 128 Studio?
Yeah.
Yep.
Shout out 128 Studios. Really
shout out
great.
To 128
shout out
Studios.
to Lena. She's the host there. She's amazing. But that studio was amazing. It was pretty great. And it was like on the 8th floor of a building.
Yeah.
And that photo,
I got to shoot there.
So. It's awesome. Yeah. But I added like an orange, or if you guys ever seen Blade Runner 2049 with Ryan Gosling in it, like amazing movie in my opinion. Like not that the cinematography was amazing. And then like the futuristic vibe, that's my vibe. And like with the colors and everything, you know, because I don't know if you ever seen that one video shot of Ryan Gosling, like he looking all beat up with the purple light, just, I
think so.
Yeah. It's just all on him. And it's just like, that's an amazing shot right there. Right. And but in one point in the movie, there's actually a shot of Ryan Gosling from a distance. You can just, I guess, sort of like a silhouette shot, just his back, just walking in a deserted part. And then the color grading there was all like orangish. And I kind of took that and then play with it in our Lightroom and put it on that. So her photo looking out of the window looks very apocalyptic when I applied that color grading or that preset onto her photo.
That's interesting. That's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, but I play around with it so much. Like that's my, I guess, specialty. Like, but it's hard for people to actually recognize it. But when they find out, then I kind of marketed myself out there to a point where I'm like, I'm recognizable enough. And in my name, like Peach Magenta Photography. See, like the whole story behind that is because I love peaches and I love my color, the favorite color magenta, and in photography, right? So I said, okay, let me take Peach Magenta Photography. I know it sounds crazy, right? But yeah, but I'm like, at the time, it was more of a like a prototype name, and it was never actually meant to pick up. I said, okay, I'll leave it as this until further notice, and eventually, I never changed it. And it stuck, and people started calling me Peach as a nickname. Yeah, I know. And then it got stuck, and then I'm like, I didn't mind it. And then all of my logos are peaches and all that.
Yeah, stay peachy.
Yeah, exactly. That's my motto. I put it at the end of my reels.
Yeah, I've noticed that.
Yeah, stay peachy always. Yeah. But that's how it originated. And then the name was actually so unique it stuck because I didn't want my first name, last name photography. Like it was just so. And it was just so repetitive with every other photographer out there. They just put their whole name and then just photography. And I'm like, it's
the most common thing.
Yeah, like I don't know about that. So Peach Magenta, that's how it came to be. And then like I'm out there. People like I went to a casting call once. No one knew who I was. No models knew who I was. All the photographers, they have no idea who I was except for Amir because he knew me.
It's because you don't post your face on your
page. That's another thing. Like, because like. I guess it's kind of hypocritical for me to say this, but, you know, like, and to talk about the marketing yourself, you know?
Yeah.
But because my face is not on there, and there's a whole story to that, but long story short, I was a bit like threatened and bullied on Instagram. And then eventually I was like, I just stopped putting my face on there.
Wow.
Yeah. Cause eventually I will. I've sneaked in my face in a few reels and a few, maybe people have tagged me and all that, but that's about it. True. I'll reveal my face eventually as time goes on.
Yeah.
So
I kind of regret putting my face on there because a lot of randos at these events walk up to me and it's just like, who are you, dude? Like
people, I mean, they don't really tell me that, right? But like, but my friend Amir, who's actually another photographer, talented photographer in the photos, shout out Amir.
Shout out to Amir.
And when I went to that casting call, he recognized me, obviously, because we were friends. But other photographers, other models that were there at that casting call, no one knew who I was.
Wow.
Until I mentioned my Instagram handle. At that point, everyone was like, oh my God, you're the Peach guy. Oh my dude, you're the guy, Peach Magenta. Oh my God, I know who you are. I love your stuff. And then I'm like, wow. So this is how it is. This is how fame is. Like,
yeah, same thing. Like when I went to the last time I was at Portrait Meet, like all these people coming up to me, Emerson, oh my God, it's so great to meet you in person. I'm all like, who are you? Dude, I've been following you for like 3 years. I'm all like,
yeah, but
okay, who are you? Like, I appreciate the love. I appreciate the support. I love having fans, but like, introduce yourself. Who are you, bro? Like,
yeah, oh my God, yeah. It's just, it's funny. It's kind of funny. It's kind of
it's fun.
Yeah, but it's just really, it's interesting to me too.
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, it's just like it just really blew my mind. But you know, obviously, I know my face is not on there, and then people just knew who I was from the handle, and then I'm actually glad it kind of made me feel better about myself. I mean, everything I do, because I knew, like, people know my work, people know who I am. It's just, it's interesting. I got recognition, so I'm glad. I'm pretty satisfied with that. Yeah.
There you go.
And I'm still going strong. I'm just limiting my post, but I'll probably pick it up in a bit, in like a few weeks. But like we talked about, there's always different ways you can stand out too. But that's just a few ways to market yourself. Like Emerson said before, like when it comes to any meetups or even like through Instagram or social media, you got to always find ways to network yourself, you know?
Exactly. And find that signature style that would set you apart from everybody else as well. You don't want to end up kind of lost in the trends, you know?
Yeah, because like we talked about this last episode, but business cards is one thing. Your social medias. Link trees, that's right there is an option.
Yeah, shout out to OnlyFans.
Yeah. Websites, your logo especially, because I have a bit of my logo. I still gotta perfect it a bit. You have your
signature logo.
Yeah, and that's pretty good. And you posted like in the corner or on the side or
side, middle. It all depends on what website I'm posting a picture on, but
yeah, that's true. Yeah. Some people actually put on the whole damn photo.
Because their photos have been stolen, probably, and posed. Yeah.
I should. You guys put it in a certain size so this way people don't edit it out or something.
Yeah, definitely.
Crazy world we live in.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's marketing. You know, I mean, obviously there's more to touch on, but that's for later. But still, there's a lot. You got to put yourself out there. That's the main thing.
Exactly.
Put yourself out there as much as you can. You got to stand out. Always stand out.
Yeah. All right, guys.
Yeah.
Man.
So what an episode that was.
That was great.
So much we touched on. Yeah.
A lot.
So many things. Yeah, but that was the episode, and I hope
really awesome.
I know for the next episode, you never know what we could talk about, but
never know.
You never know. Yeah.
You just got to tune in.
Yeah. Who knows? We might have a guest. Maybe we will.
Maybe we will. Maybe we won't. Yeah. Who knows?
Yeah, but keep your ears open.
Yeah.
Yeah, keep your eyes open too, but ears mostly.
Thank you for listening to the Phot-Bros Podcast. Feel free to follow us on Instagram at Phot-Bros Podcast and follow us on X/Twitter at Phot-Bros.